All right, everyone, welcome to the 24-hour podcast. We are in hour number 18 and a half, and I'm definitely hearing some feedback, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know where that's coming from. Irk, if you have a speaker on, turn it down a little bit. I'll see if it's there. Let me see if it's over on TalkShoe. Um, I think that did it. That wherever it was, oh, it's still there. I'm still hearing a little feedback. So let me make an adjustment on this side.
Maybe we're just picking up transmissions from the mothership.
Really?
It's like that movie Signs.
Yeah, very, very Yeah, it's still there. So let me mute everyone that's over here. Testing 1, 2. I think, did I get it? Oh, that's weird. All right, hang on. I can know how to figure this out. Hang on. Test 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. Well, I don't hear it now. Oh, there it is. It's back. Ah, that's annoying. Test 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, Irk, I think it's coming from your line.
Could be the Skype connection, Todd. I'm not sure. I'm running a mixer with two mics.
Yeah, why don't you disconnect and recall back in, and then we'll see if that did it, if that clears it.
Okay.
There's always, when you get just a little bit of a feedback loop, it's, when you have this many wires going,
Yeah, we're not hearing it now.
yeah,
Yep.
it was definitely on his end.
We
And
understand though, it is okay. It is nighttime over there for them, so they're just now going to sleep soon. So
Yeah.
we understand.
I think what happens there is, and I think he's back. If he's got two headsets set up, may have a little bit of an aux in. I think it's gone. Well, it's still there, Irk. Why don't you, let's see here, on my audio in that's coming in that you're hearing me from, why don't you turn that gain on that pot down a little bit and see if that clears it?
How's that?
Let me check now. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, that did it right there. Well, actually, it's it's just barely there.
Barely.
Yeah, it's still there a little bit. Well, you're going to do most of the talking, I think, so hopefully it doesn't annoy us too much. It's still there. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why. And what it is, it sounds like a crossover. There's a crossover happening somehow.
Kangaroo.
So, let me see if that works. You guys may want to try coming up on a regular USB cam mic or something like that.
It's too late to change anything.
It's too
now.
late
I
to
can
change.
hardly even hear myself now.
Okay. Test 1, 2. All right. Well, we'll have to. Oh boy, it's really bad. And I've got things turned down here as low as I can too. So sometimes
And I've just turned this down here too.
Yeah, I don't know what. I don't know where. How have you guys? If you guys get your audio in coming into a channel on the on your board, is that how you've got it worked?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll just go with it is as it is. Everyone, welcome to. I guess I said this already. Our 18 hours and 40 minutes into the 24-hour podcast. My name is Todd Cochran, and we've got Irk and his mom on from down in Australia. Of course, this is a charity event to raise money for Ronald McDonald House Charities, and we're going to. I got to look here. I heard there was another donation that came in, which did actually two came in. Got a donation from Steve, and we got a donation from Dale. I want to thank both of you guys for your donations there. It's most appreciative. You can find a donation link at the top of geeknewscentral.com. And, of course, Irk, go ahead and introduce yourself and your mom.
Well, g'day, Todd. G'day, everyone. I'm Irk, and I'm here with my mum, Judy. Say hi.
Hi, everybody. I'm Judy, Irk's mum.
Hey, Judy.
And at the moment, we do 4 weekly podcasts. I do a talk podcast, which is my original podcast called Irk Pod, that comes out on Wednesdays. Since the last time I spoke to you, Todd, I now do a music show called Irk FM that comes out on Fridays. Mum and I do a show together called Blast from the Past, where we talk about all the old ancient social history things, the whole back in my day thing.
I walk to school.
I'm
Uphill
sure that
both ways, right, Judy?
That's right. That's what he tries to tell me, but he wasn't there.
And on Sundays, Mum even does her own music show called Judy's Blast FM.
Yay.
So,
And so,
go ahead.
we're having a lot of fun together. We've got a loyal bunch of regular listeners and contributors and people who give us feedback, and we're really enjoying it. Mum's discovering that there's more to music than country and western.
There's Western and country.
That's
And I never knew what the word general was until I started doing that show either. Oh, really? What they say? You're never too old to learn? Well, I'm proving it. You aren't too old to learn. In the last 10 months, I have learnt so much. I might write a book about it.
Well, that's awesome. And Irk, last time you went Walkabout America, you stopped at a certain house in Quincy, Michigan, didn't you?
I sure did, Todd. It was a rather excellent experience to meet with your mum, and I was actually there on
Mother's Day.
our Mother's Day.
Right.
Yeah. So we shared it via Skype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So I had your mum in one ear, and I had my mum in the other ear.
What an earful.
So what did you think? I don't think I got a chance to talk to you, but what did you think of the, I guess what I would say the homestead, where I spent the first 18 years of my life?
I love it.
It was rather cozy. I can actually imagine you running around that massive area, not have to worry about the outside world. You had so much freedom now compared to what your kids would have.
Well, as I tell people, where I grew up, I could, don't picture this, but I could run around naked in the front yard and scream at the top of my lungs, and no one would care. Or probably even hear me in the first place, So that's, I guess, and it's, I think now there's our closest neighbor is a couple 100 feet up the road, so I probably couldn't do that today, but there was nobody on that road when I was growing up.
It's still very isolated for those of you who obviously haven't seen where Todd and I are talking about in Michigan, but it was a great experience to be able to go over there for the 2 months, meet so many podcasters. Unfortunately, Todd, our paths didn't cross.
Well, it did. You flew right over the top.
Yeah, I was waving.
Dropped you a bomber. Missile.
Yep. So, you were on that direct flight into the West Coast. So next time you come this way, though, you'll have to stop here in the land of Aloha, and I'll show you the town.
Well, you never know. You can't see this, but my mum's miming one of those Hawaiian girls that meet you at the airport and pretend to dance.
We had Bruce on earlier from Hawaiian Travel, and he was telling me one of the misconceptions about Hawaii is that everyone is met at the airport by a girl in a bikini with a grass skirt and leis. Normally who meets you at the airport in Hawaii are leis with little signs showing which travel group you're with. So while everyone pictures getting a lei off the airplane, in Hawaii now, go buy your own lei.
Coconut cookies.
I'm sorry, but if we're there, we'll bring you leis.
He's into it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well,
It's not me. Have to worry about Todd with boobies. It's the old guy.
Yeah.
She always manages to bring boobs into a conversation somehow.
who does? Your mom does?
Yeah.
Oh,
I said
okay.
coconut cookies. Did you laugh like your mum?
I'm sorry. What did you say? I didn't follow.
You laugh like your mum.
Oh, I laugh like my mom? Probably. I
Yeah.
guess I inherited that. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Some people say I should trademark the laugh, but it's pretty hard to do.
What I should do, I should have a look to see how cheap flights are to Hawaii, because one of our airline companies is called Jetstar. It's a offshoot of Qantas,
Yep.
but it's got the rather unfortunate nickname of Death Star.
Oh. Now, Qantas is great to fly on. Matter of fact, the way they take care of their passengers is much better than most American carriers these days. So I think it would be much better to come over on Qantas.
Well, I must say I have absolutely no complaints about Qantas in relation to the flight over there and back, even though I was basically delayed by 6 hours in each direction. That was a bit of a pain in the backside. But how do you get along, mate, with all your audio gear going through TSA and everywhere like that? How do you go with those guys? Because I've got a story for you.
Well, I check all my gear. I have a nearly indestructible case. It's made by, oh boy. Yeah, it's one of those black plastic cases that has the airtight seals and it's got the foam inside. I actually had a picture it up on my website at one point. I'll see if I can find it here and we'll put it up on the screen. But I don't deal with it because I don't actually go through TSA with it. It's all sent through the luggage check, and I usually find a little TSA, note in there that they've been in the box and rummaged around.
Because what happened with me, I left LAX to come back to Sydney, and I had, for instance, my voice recorder, the Zoom H4, the associated microphones, a little EPC that I used to podcast around with, and all the associated cables. And I had all of those in a backpack.
Oh,
I passed through the first lot of security. I had the bag x-rayed twice,
yep.
so that was fine. And then I was waiting around for about 3 or 4 hours for the flight to board. I got to the line where you check in. I checked in at the gate, and I was on the Aero Bridge at LAX when the TSA, Customs and Border Patrol wanted to have a few words with me because they thought that my bag looked rather heavy.
Right.
And so there was about 10 of them just waiting and picking people at random. So, of course, with me and all my audio gear, they had to pick me.
Right, of
So
course.
I went through the bag and was wondering what what all the leads and all the microphones were. And I was very surprised, actually, that they didn't ask what the taser-looking device, aka the Zoom H4, was. Because if anyone's ever seen a Zoom H4, they look like a taser that you'd get with the LAPD.
They do.
And so the woman found my business cards and she's like, what's all this about? And instead of going through the Todd Cochran spiel of what podcasting is, 101, I just basically said, oh, it's internet radio. I just do a little bit of it on the side and that's why I'm here. And so she was happy with that. She just thought that the bag looked rather heavy.
If you look on the stream, I'm actually showing my gear that I travel with. It actually shows the pack out that I carry with me everywhere I go.
No, well, I didn't take a extra mix or anything like that. I just used an EPC and the Zoom H4 and basically just used the E to do the editing and the uploading and all of that sort of thing. And so that was quite good.
Yeah, what I end up doing is I've refined this pack out over the last couple of years. And people say, why do I travel with a big mixer? Why don't I go to like a 2-channel FireWire device? And I've had absolutely horrible luck with FireWire. I've just recently got a pretty good stable FireWire connection on the new mixer that I have here in my audio recording system. So maybe at some point I'll switch back and go to a smaller mixer and go FireWire. But at this point, I love the Mackie amplifiers and the sound you get out of it. But That's kind of the gear. And then basically that setup right there allows me to go. Actually, Mike was on. I think Mike's on the chat. I use VidBlaster when I'm on the road to actually run a 3 camera setup in a hotel room. So I actually do 3 separate cameras if I want with a VidBlaster, be able to play the video, do replays, and so forth. And the little box, it's if you can see where I have my mouse at right now, is a A to D converter that I use for a HD camera. But that's what I primarily travel with. So, Eric, what's going on with your shows? How's the growth been? What's this year look like for you?
The shows have really exploded since this time last year. When I spoke to you from my train this time last year, I've finished work for the day and we're talking to you in the studio. Since this time last year, I've expanded to my music show. Mum came on board. She started podcasting with me in February this year. We've had some trials and tribulations with that. You might want to tell us about some of the trials that we've had with the technology, learning how to use the computer and the internet and recording.
You're not wrong. I should be grey all over the way things have been happening. So I had trouble. I was trying to learn how to record on my own, and I was using the Taser, and I have a smaller version computer to what Eric's got. It's a little E. What size is it? 12?
Well, it's very small.
Yeah. And I was using the microphone, and I was recording on my own because of Eric's commitment with the railway.
Right.
And I kept, because of the screen on the Taser is only very small, and because I've got bad eyes, I couldn't see whether it was working or not. I could see flashing things but nothing else, and I assumed that it was working okay, and because the red light was flickering. It took me 4 hours one day to record a 40-minute show because I finished and it hadn't worked. I left the pause button on another time. So you learn by your mistakes, and that's a true fact that. But many a time I've been going to chuck it in because it just gets so frustrating to think of all the hours, all the research, and all the times that you put into doing it for a small show, and you turn around and think, is anybody out there listening? Nobody likes to do feedback, which I think to improve, how can you improve your show if people don't bother to email you or give you some kind of acknowledgement?
Right.
And I get frustrated with that, So, but I have a couple of loyal friends. We've started our own. I'm now on Facebook. Tried Twitter when Eric was in America to follow him around.
We had epic Twitter fail.
And I had a lot of trouble with people with that, so I went offline. But I heard everybody, on TV and everything now is Facebook. So I said to Eric, I want to check out Facebook. So if the movie stars can be on there, I can too.
That's right.
So I've now got nearly 100 friends on Facebook at the moment, and I've only been on it about a month. So I'm quite pleased. And so I get on there every day, and we've also started up, a week ago, we started our Channel Irk fan club, and I get on there every day, and I post things up on it for people to see and everything, and keep them updated and how many people have joined up and things like that. So that keeps me busy. I enjoy doing it. So, we've got a nice little neat compact studio going at the moment. So I think we're achieving something, which is really good.
And we basically haven't missed a week since we've started. You've missed 1 week.
Yeah. I heard you earlier, Todd, saying you still got a podcast when you're sick. Well, I took a week off because we had our house painted and the fumes got my throat, and I was that bad I couldn't do the show. Irk had to do it for me.
Yeah.
So I've actually taken 1 week in 10 months off.
Well, that's good.
So yeah.
But Todd, I'm on a regular schedule now. That's one thing that I wasn't on before. I'm now on a regular schedule with ErkPod, my talk podcast, on Wednesday, my music show Erk FM on Friday, Blast from the Past, the family
Saturday.
show on Saturday, and Mum's music show that she also looks all the music up and presents it herself
Yeah.
is on Sundays. So
Yes.
people can now rely on us producing a show and having it out on the day that we say.
That's right. And I even asked people if they want requests to send them in, but I haven't had any. So we'll get there.
It's a work in progress, and I think even with my mom's show, we realized it'd been a couple months since we did a show, and we were both kind of shocked. But we've really, I guess, abused the consistency rule with her. But it's one of those things. Sometimes life gets in the way, and that kind of
Well,
what's
it's
kind of what
standing
happens.
up. Yeah, I mean, with everything that's been going on, I mean, with your mum selling her house, your grandparents' house, and everything, I mean, she's not a spring chicken.
No.
Don't get quick, Sherry. But I mean, she's doing it really hard. People don't realise it, but at her age, she should be sitting back with her feet up, having a good time, enjoying her grandkids.
Yeah,
But she's working a man's job, really.
yeah, she is.
You have to drive the truck and delivering all the goodies and everything, and picking stuff up.
And the oranges were delicious.
You should give her some apples and oranges. He reckons they're the best he's ever tasted.
Well,
So,
one thing's for sure, she eats beyond healthy, so that she's got going for her for sure. And good genes, too. You look at her mother and father lived 98 and 99,
Yes.
so that's some good genes,
definitely. Yeah. So I really miss her podcast because she was an influence for me. Because when I decided to, I was always listening to Erk doing his podcasts and things, and I went round to the studio at the time we was at, and I said, I think I'd like to give it a go, and then when he told me about you and your mum, and so I would like to be proven different. So far, nobody's been able to, but we've been told we're the only mother and son podcasters in Australia.
Well, that's
So
cool.
that is a goal. And we're the only ones that produce regular 4 shows a week. Well, Erk does a 5th show, which is not regular. He does that when he feels like it. It's an ambient noise one. And that's called Echo Romeo Kilo.
Yeah, you got it right.
But we do between us 2 shows each a week, So,
Yep.
and all mine, I'm actually learning now I can record my shows, but Erk does the editing. He does all the cutting and pasting, and I leave gaps, and he puts, we do our own promotion. And so I leave the gaps, and I pick out what I want on the show, and I tell him what I want, and he puts them into where I leave the gaps for him to put in. So if I didn't have him to do that, my shows wouldn't be anything. So I owe him a great deal for that, and I also, on my shows, I make a regular point at the end of each show to personally thank him on air and let people know that, what he does do behind the scenes. As you know, Todd, people don't realise how much goes into producing a show.
Yeah.
Not just research, but just electronically. Is that the right word?
Electronically editing, uploading
Yeah.
episodes, and that sort of thing.
If without all that, like earlier we had a little bit of glitch with the sound or whatever, but I mean little things like that. Like one day I did a show and I didn't realise that I had the air conditioner going, and my microphone was competing with the air conditioner, and when we went, it was terrible, but we put the show out, but we tried to overcome it with some other sound effects in the show,
Yeah.
But I wasn't happy with it, but I wasn't in the mood to record it again. So we just let everybody know, sorry, but this does happen,
And go ahead.
I have to say, Todd, have to thank you a lot as well. This is my 3rd time on the 24-hour podcast. I didn't think you were going to do it again after last year.
Well, I tell you, I really had, it took a lot out of me last year, and I got done, and I really thought, do I really want to punish myself again doing this?
Yes.
And But so far, so good. We're doing good, and I'm doing good. Matter of fact, I've only had one Red Bull tonight, so doing so far, so good.
Did you
The
enjoy your spaghetti?
Yeah, absolutely, I did. It was delicious, and everyone else in the house has crashed. So these are the wee hours of the night where it'll be fun here for a couple of hours. But so
So over
far,
here, sorry,
but
over here where I tried watching you all day today, and I tried two different computers and that, and your voice kept cutting out, and you were freezing up all the time,
hmm
and it was really frustrating because you just get involved in the conversation, and then it goes dead. You
well,
know?
you should have been here for the podcast awards when half the country couldn't get into the live streamed event.
Mm,
That was worse.
yeah,
I could imagine.
yeah.
But Todd, I do have to thank you. As a result of listening to Geek News Central, I found Trucker Tom
Yep.
on the Trucker Tom podcast, and through him we found
Quite a few other
quite a
listeners.
few listeners as well.
Mhm.
I didn't get to meet up with Tom either when I was over in the States, but we had rather a lengthy phone conversation which spanned over about 3 separate states.
Yeah.
So that was quite interesting. But mate, you do a great job with the show twice a week. I know what that's like, and for you to do the shows that you do when you're on the road, many other people just say, "Oh well, I couldn't be bothered. I'm on holidays," but you're out there basically all year round wherever you are. So that's a great credit.
Well, there's no
So what-
choice. If I did not do the shows when I was on the road, it would be over 90 days of shows that wouldn't be produced. So
Mm.
it just has to happen. And but tell you, there's times it's really tough when I'm traveling. You know how it is when you get jet lagged. Your body thinks it's noon and it's or it's you think your body thinks it's midnight and it's only 6 o'clock and you want to be sleeping but you can't, and so it does become a bit of a challenge for sure.
Was it last year or was it the year before that you had a birthday party scheduled not too long after you finished this thing?
There's a birthday party scheduled 6 hours after this one closes.
Whoa!
Yeah. So yeah, some reason this it just happens to fall on a weekend. So yeah, I got a birthday. It's this party is actually my son's birthday party. So he is actually officially now 6. So we're not having a
Break
big
out the
one. It's
tequila.
we're gonna have some friends over, and some of his little partners at school are coming, and it's gonna be kind of a low key affair. And I think I'm just gonna kind of like, hey kids, you want to watch a video? I've got some cartoons. Here you go, and I'm gonna kind of sit back and be in the ozone layer. But normally I only sleep 4 or 5 hours anyway, so really it's not that big a deal. I normally work 18, 19 hours a day. Well, not work that many hours, but I'm awake that many hours. And
That's what I'm
most people say I'm nuts, but you know,
Todd, you're nuts.
When is your mother's birthday?
I don't want to say it on the air. For It's in April.
Send us now.
Yeah, I'll send.
April.
Yeah, it's in April.
All right. Because she hasn't got it on her Facebook thing.
Yeah, by direction of me.
Yeah. Right.
Um, Looking at donations, as someone just asked in the chat, the donations go a little slow this year. Let me give a running actual total here of how much we're up to. And we're actually at the switchover point, Irk. I think we're due to have. Oh, we're in open lines right now, so we're okay. If there's anybody in chat that wants to dial into the GNC Pod 1 and GNC Pod 2, let me know, and I'll have one of the other groups that's on bounce off. Irk, why don't you, while I'm looking this up, why don't you tell everyone your site name and all that stuff?
You can find us at www.channelirk.com. I'm on Twitter as IrkPod.
And I'm on Facebook at Judy Brooke. And you can also contact me on judysblast@gmail.com.
And I'm IrkPod at gmail.com.
So there's more than one way to get us.
So we have 4 shows a week, plenty for everyone, and
Variety, they call it.
we have a variety. And if you like Australian accents, well, we can certainly do that for you.
Yes. And we do very good housekeeping.
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping. That's our locals.
And it's actually going to be a busy couple of weekends because, Todd, you're running the 24-hour podcast this weekend. And then next weekend, we'll be guests on the 30-hour day, also for charity. So it's a busy couple of weekends for podcasting for charity.
So donations are definitely off this year quite a bit. We're at $390 so far. So it's definitely way off from previous years.
Come on, get out there. Get your fingers out of your pocket and send it in.
So yeah, that it's been slow today on the donations. So it's just one of those things. It is what it is, and we're not going to complain with the economy the way it is. You know, everyone's.
So how are you looking down under with Geek News Central, Todd?
I'm sorry.
Many listeners down under listen to your show.
You know, I got asked a question by a guest that was on from Israel earlier, and I looked his numbers up, and I haven't looked at the actual numbers in Australia, but I know the numbers are pretty good based upon what I've seen before. And I can actually pull that up and look and know how many extra folks we have down there. Actually, Sherry from the Sherry Cast, that's my mom, is awake. She's actually in the chat watching right now. So if you guys want to say hello.
Sherry, miss you.
Hi, Sherry. Can't see the chat, but hi.
So
No, we were hoping, Todd, to be able to hear Sherry, but by the time that she comes on our time, it's basically midnight. And that's a bit too late for the other half of the studio and also for me this fortnight.
Yep. The sun goes down now, I go down.
Let's see here. Still bringing this up.
But for us at the moment, because we're in summer and we have daylight saving, so the sun doesn't start to go down until about
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock at night. And so when I'm on super duper early mornings, which I hate, starting work at 1, 2, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I have to go to bed while the sun's still up and while the neighbourhood kids are still out playing sport or whatever.
What time do you have to leave for work?
Well, it varies because there's so many different starting times.
Yeah.
Every minute of the day is a potential starting time.
Right.
For instance, this 2-week period, I am starting round about between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m., which is still rather early for me because I like afternoons.
He normally doesn't get out of bed till about 1 in the afternoon.
Well, Irk, to answer your questions, there's 9,467 unique IPs that's listening to my show coming out of Australia.
Wow.
Almost 10,000, mate. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Considering the size of our population.
4, 5, 6, 7,
Didn't
and they're eighth in the ranking. United States, UK, Canada, Japan, France, Netherlands. They're all in there a little bit before Australia. So, believe it or not, I've got 5,200 that come out of Russian Federation. I don't quite understand that one. Chinese have a little over 4,200 too. I don't know how many expats listen to the show over there. We don't get emails from them, so it's kind of odd. But let me look at this list. I haven't looked at this. Actually, I haven't counted this list up in a while. But we were in 160 countries last time I checked.
Okay. I didn't think there was many Australians that were involved in the podcasting.
I think there's a lot of.
You don't hear many.
I think there's a lot of people that listen to them. I don't know if there's a lot of people creating them.
Yeah.
I'm gradually meeting a few different people, but compared to the amount of people that I met and the amount of American shows that I listen to, and even the English music shows that I listen to, we don't have many at all. And if there's any Australians out there who want to send me some podcasts that I can listen to, go right ahead.
We're mainly all American.
The numbers from Ireland are 2,740. out of Ireland. Someone
Right.
asked.
Listen to one, and that's a Irish blues. He plays blues music.
I've always tried to help other podcasters out wherever I can, and I'll go on their shows, they'll come on my shows, and we cross promote, which is one thing that which is really good. And unfortunately, the Australian podcast community, in terms of actual content producers, seems to be rather low. But I'm heartened to hear that there's almost 10,000 people listening to your show, Todd. That gives us something to work towards.
Yeah, and it's one of those situations where it's I think a lot of people listen and sometimes maybe they don't listen all the time. You never know how often they listen to the show. And I get a fair number of email comments and actually people calling into the voicemail line too from down under. So I know that I know people are listening down there. A lot of the countries have 1, 2, 3, 4 listeners. I think for example, we've got one show that, and I kind of let me actually bring this back up here. Where did I hide
How
that?
do you find them?
Basically, we track them in our stat system. They find the show somehow. I don't know how they're actually
Yeah,
finding.
that's how I the only one, like what I do, if I listen to a show and they, like I do on my show, I every so often talk about the shows I listen to. And then I find that some of my listeners then send me a thing to say, oh, I like that show. Oh, no, I didn't like that show,
Yeah.
because everyone's taste is different. So I was very curious to find out how do people find out about it? Because it's not really advertised. Like the local radio stations, they advertise on billboards and all that's in papers and all. And I tried to contact our local newspaper when Eric was coming home from America to do a story on it, because I thought 2 months, what was it, 10,000 miles, and,
Something like that, yeah.
and all this sort of thing, and that one of the local papers didn't want to know about it because I mentioned the word podcast, and they wouldn't even read my email. I had to ring them up and chase them, and then another local newspaper, they did the story. They interviewed him over the phone. They interviewed me over the phone. And would you believe they put some other bloke's photo in the paper and not Eric's? And they got it all mixed up. They couldn't even produce a proper story in the paper.
Yeah, it's
So,
I think you just have to do your own promotion and work hard at it. That's probably the best way to do it.
yeah, but that's what I'm trying to do. But I just don't know where to turn to do it.
I think
I want to promote podcasting, but I'm scratching my head at the moment because I was just sort of like it's a dead-end battle. I don't know where to go.
go where your audience is. If you know who you're trying to reach, you need to go where they're going. And if that means finding places online where they're chatting or are talking about stuff, that's the best advice I can give people. You go ahead.
Facebook.
On Facebook. You think that's where the most of them are, is on Facebook?
Well, everybody seems to be on Facebook these days, even your mother.
Well, that's true, but is the audience you're trying to reach, are they on Facebook? Or are they on a different site talking about the topics that you're talking about? That's, or is there groups on Facebook that you want to participate on? If that's where, you have to find the right groups to be connected to. There was a question in the chat on how many from Japan. 14,933 is the number from Japan. But, here's an interesting statistic, at least from my show. I've got a handful, there might be 10 countries here that are one listener. Papua New Guinea, Cook Islands, Niger, Dominica,
Yeah.
Mozambique, Congo, the Democratic Republic of, and Angela must have cut it off, Gambia, Seychelles, Uzbekistan, Mali, Liechtenstein, Kyrgyzstan. Those are all countries with one listener to the show. So, yeah, it is interesting,
So who's listening to that? The Customs and Border Security guy at all those airports?
Or some expat that's working there, an embassy marine, or who knows, who's listening to the show. And It is really weird. You look at and I never hear from any of those people. We never hear from Papua New Guinea.
From the
So
one guy there.
I'm sorry.
From the one guy there
Yeah,
that's
from the
listening.
one guy there. You call him out and say, "Hey, call, email the show. Tell me who you are," and you never hear from
Right.
them. So, are they really listening, or are they just downloading, or did somebody search the internet and find a link and click on the download button and gave up because they were on a internet connection that really didn't work? Who knows?
Right. Well,
What
Todd,
about, Todd, while we're talking about figures and that sort of stuff, what about the quote unquote older person demographic, considering that's partly what one of our shows is about? How does that look?
Well, I think you have to run a poll to find that out. But still, today, across the board, we're finding that 25 to 45 is really the kind of big demographic that's listening, and 45 to 55 is still another big portion. The people that are missing that from an aggregate is the 18 to 25-year-old group. They are just a very small portion of people, are a demographic listening to the show. Now, you get above the 55 age range, and you go down into generally single digits, maybe some digits, double digits. But amazingly, that 25 to 45 group, a pretty heavy concentration, but the 45 to 55-year-old ones are the ones with the most money. So
Well,
they're the
I've
ones with the.
asked,
Go ahead.
I've asked from the past, is my highest listeners are the 45 to 55 age.
Yeah.
Got one that I know of. A new member the other day contacted me. I have an 18-year-old guy that loves my show, an 18-year-old guy. And he started chatting to me on Facebook yesterday, asking me advice and stuff like that. And I was surprised. An 18-year-old likes my show. Whoa. You know?
Yeah. Someone
I'll
asked.
give you a.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Todd.
Someone asked what my UK account was. The UK total counts 44,212.
hey Todd,
Yeah.
Scott from Plug Hits, we're gonna take off.
All
We're
right,
gonna free
guys.
up room 2 for you.
Okay, no worries. And actually, we're going to try to move into an open kind of an open session at this point. And the talk shoe line is still open for those of you that want to come over on the talk shoe and just kind of hang out.
Well, it was fun. It was fun spending the last 3 hours with you, Todd.
Yeah.
Hey, it was fun. Glad to
We
have
hope
you guys
we,
on. You
gave
guys
some rest.
kept me company. You'll have to do it again next year.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Definitely, yeah. We're glad you were able to shower and trust us with the ability to control the masses.
That's
With our
right.
power.
Control the
And
masses.
And tasers, yeah. And tequila.
And
But anyway,
yeah.
on behalf of our crew, I'm Nick.
I'm Scott.
I'm John.
And we'll see you, Todd. We'll be in touch via email with the sizes and all that good stuff.
All right, that's great.
Ciao.
Take
Yep.
care of the
Cheers.
Pluggets crew.
Later.
Aloha.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Talking about figures, Todd, I was having a look in one of our newspapers yesterday, and they had a survey out for the top 5 costly ages for car insurance claims. And those particular ages were under 24,
Yep.
25 to 34, 35 to 44, 45 to 54, and 55 plus. So what that survey basically said to me is car insurance is expensive for everyone.
I think we all reckon about the same amount. Well, Irk, thanks for hanging out with us here tonight, and good
Been a
luck.
pleasure, mate.
Good luck good luck with your show. Continued success, and Mom Judy, take care, and continued success with your show as well. Send me a little email, and kind of tell me about your show a little bit, and then I'll give you a good plug on my show. We'll see if we can drive some listeners down there. Irk, you do the same as well. We'd be more than happy to give a shout out and get the Australians that listen to the show tuned in to your show down there.
No worries, Todd. Will do, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. And if you come back for year 4 next year, mate, I'll be here somewhere.
All right.
So,
Hey, thank you so much.
and
All right.
happy birthday for your son.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for that as well.
And say hi to your mum for me.
Yeah, give her
I think
a-
you just did. She's listening. So,
Sherry, bye, Sherry. I'll send you an email.
All right. Thanks, Todd.
yep. Aloha.
At Facebook. Aloha.
Well, we're cooking along here, and we've got 20. Here, let me look at the time. We got some time left on the open lines, and some other folks would like to jump in here. GNC Pod 1 and 2 are open, and you guys can call in. And let me actual. So if you want to dial in on Skype, feel free to do so, and jump in on the action. And I'm getting to that point in the evening where I'm glad the East Coast is starting to wake up, because the East Coast crew is going to carry me through the rest of the night here in Honolulu. It's now 2 a.m. here, which is really just about the time I'm going to start hitting the wall. I've got Ryan Ozawa from here in Honolulu. He's going to be coming in near the end of the show. And we're going to we need to do a podcast madness fix. Got lots of people that have tuned in. And we've got some codes that we're going to give away. And I'm going to announce some codes. I got to roll up here and find Jeffrey's email. Somehow Jeffrey's Skype quit working. I don't know exactly what's going on there. But here we go. Go to... Oh, wait a minute. That's not the one I'm looking for. Okay, here's the code. Go to podcastmadness.com. Podcastmadness.com. I'm going to give you a couple of codes. You're going to want to put in the code America or the code computer. And either one of those codes at podcastmadness.com will get you in the running for some of the prizes that we're going to give away. And how I'm going to work the prizes is that I will give those away during my next scheduled regular podcast, which will come out Tuesday morning. We'll announce the winners of all the prizes. I've got just a stack. Let me show you guys what I've got down here. I've got some blueberry shirts. Actually, multiple blueberry shirts, polos. I've got some tech podcast shirts. I have some PodCamp shirts, t-shirts. And then I have some stuff that's coming from the folks at Zune. And for how many of you that are on chat have been here the entire 24 hours? Do we still have someone that has been in the system the entire 24 hours? Have you been here the whole time? Ryan isn't going to be here until later. Ryan is going to be in, let me look at the schedule. He's being smart and sleeping right now. He won't be in until about 4:30 Hawaiian time. So he's got about another hour and a half before he has to roll out of bed and be over here. He's actually probably going to leave the house earlier than that because he's bringing me breakfast. And if you want to come in, let me go ahead and put the link up to Skype. GNC Pod 1 or GNC Pod 2 is the numbers. Of course, you can come in on the talk shoe line at the other number as well. That's at geeknewscentral.com. You can actually come in that way. So, I don't know what the awards ceremony totally destroyed the Ustream. And I'm going to add here. Okay, so GNC Pod 1, GNC Pod 2. And I got me a nice nutritional bar here that is actually healthy for you. It's not one of these, you know, candy bar type things. It's actually, well, I don't know if anything is healthy these days, but anyway, this is my midnight snack. Anybody can dial in. You guys just go ahead and feel free to bounce in. Don't be shy. And you can come into either the lines. And it's that hour of the evening when really anything goes. Up until our next slot. You have to turn down your Ustream audio. There you go. I think you got it turned off. So, good morning. I see. We see you on video. Steve, is that you? Good morning.
Yeah, it's me. I'm just figuring out all this. There you go. How's that?
Hey, you're loud and clear.
Thanks very much. I just didn't get the sound right on the particular screen I was looking at, so I have you in dual view at the moment.
Well, I can see you good. You got a nice picture. It's daylight where you're at. I'm sorry.
We're
I'm eating your.
6 hours ahead of you.
I'm eating your ear. I apologize.
That's okay. How long have you been going?
Well, let's see here. It's 1:30. So we've got 4.5 hours to go. So I guess I've been going 19.5 hours.
Oh, that's just too much. That's great.
But hey, this is the third time doing it. I knew what to expect.
Yeah, I just as a question,
Sure.
Is there a feed for past hours of this somewhere that you can put up on the feed?
Yeah, everything's going to be. There may be a couple of hours missing because we had Ustream crash halfway through a couple of the events. So what I'll go through is I'll come over on Ustream probably after I have slept tomorrow. See what's missing. I'll backfill those into Ustream with a TriCaster. Then I will essentially get everything aligned in the right hours and the right format, put all the show notes in. And then they're going to be available on Ustream immediately, but I'll actually have them all in a segmented list. I've also been recording on audio everything. And in the end, when this is all done, this year, unlike last year, everything's going to go up on 24hourpodcast.com. Last year, we just got so slammed, we never got all the interviews up online. But we're going to be doing that. We'll get all those up online for folks at the end of the event, and or actually within the next week or so, we'll get them up online. But the videos and audio portions of this will be available. And just keep track on geeknewscentral.com. I'll make sure we have a blog post up there and a link to all the content.
Yeah, I put it up onto there was a feed click on the site, so I put it up as a live feed onto my weblog. And while I was out, I had to leave about half an hour ago, and one of the guys said, try it out on the iPhone. So I had you going on the iPhone as well for about 20 minutes. Not so good as the mainstream because it kept on wanting to buffer every 5 or 6 minutes, and I sort of missed 20 or 30 seconds while it rebuffered. But it was okay. But the obvious better stream is on the standalone machine at home.
Yeah, I think what was happening there too was that halfway through the podcast awards ceremony, Ustream finally figured out that they had 1,370 some people in their channel, and said, "Uh-oh, we got a problem." And they featured the show finally 12 hours in, and then they must have turned on some more servers or something, because all of a sudden we got up on the iPhone app. We were featured on the website. I don't know if we're still featured or not, but so that is, kept the numbers up here throughout the evening. And what happens is some people, when they're featured, Ustream gives them some separate stream links to push into, which helps people that are on the mobile app actually get a lower bit rate. I was being told earlier tonight that everyone was on the mobile device was getting the same bit rate it was coming down on computers, which would just absolutely clog the mobile device.
Excellent. It's a really good service. I've got you both on my Skype machine at the moment and on the main screen, and there's a little delay going on somewhere down the line, but generally this is an extremely good service coming through from Ustream.
I apologize. I'm just finishing up this little snack I'm taking.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
I was surprised at the number of people around the world. You seem to have an enormous audience that I didn't expect at all when I found it on. It's just a huge audience, and the diversity across countries must be huge. But it's all in English.
Well, so far, most of the, I have listeners in obviously countries where English is a second language. So, we have, I'm sure what it boils down to is a lot of American or a lot of English speaking listeners that are just looking for content. My show by far is nowhere near as big as many of the other well-known names out there. You look at the folks at Revision 3, what they're doing, they have to have massive audiences, and you look at what Leo Laporte does, of course, and his audience size is big. And I was pretty lucky, because in the early days, in 2000, well, I should say early days, but in the early days of podcasting, 2004, when I started, there was just a really, maybe, I think I came in around 60th or 70th in actually a person starting to officially have a podcast that was podcast ready, that could be subscribed to. So getting in very early definitely had its advantages. And then, of course, all the other stuff I do in this space is, and producing 537 shows has helped too. So,
oh, that's good.
Yeah. So
I only have one. I only have one that I put up videos on, and I find that a strain because it's not my main business. Like this, obviously, is yours.
Right.
I find it. I have to set aside time to do this sort of thing. So the first thing in the morning is when I do all my podcasts, my video feed, and everything else, and then I have to do my architecture through the rest of the day, which is what brings in the money.
Right.
But I must admit, the enjoyment is this huge podcasting phenomenon that's going on. It's changing my business of architecture. We have to do 35 hours CPD, which is continued professional development, and that's any architect in the world more or less is the same. And we're finding now that CPD, the old traditional way of using books and attending lectures, is vastly dying out, and the online market is increasing phenomenally. We're desperate and seeking out new sources of video that people can watch, which is technically sound. And most people, because they're so busy, the only thing that they can get to achieve their 35 hours is now video content, which they can watch on their iPhone or at their desk or late at night, and they can just pick up a quick 20 minutes CPD by watching a video stream. I mean, it's the phenomenon is huge and important as well.
And I think this is the way of all education in the future. Some school districts are. I spoke with the Las Vegas School District a couple of years ago. They have the highest population of English as a second language student body in the country. And you find that, you wouldn't think that of Las Vegas. You'd think of that of maybe New York or something like that. But per capita. They have, again, this very wide, diverse, um, you know, student body, and by law, they're required to provide, basically student materials in the student's native tongue. So obviously, if you have, let's say, someone from, I'm just using as an example, Vietnam. Let's use Vietnam as an example. You have a lot of folks from Vietnam as a community, and a lot of kids in there that are English as a second language speaker. Then what if you don't have enough teachers across the district to cover all those kids? So what they do is they have one or two Vietnamese speaking teachers that will do lesson plans and Vietnamese and deliver it via podcast. And so that way they can maximize, several employees across the entire district to deliver content and hopefully get these kids up to speed on learning English and get them assimilated into the community so they can, they're not handicapped later on when they get ready to go for, they get ready to graduate and they can actually, speak English fluently and at the same time haven't lost educational opportunities when they're younger. So this is one of the ways that at least K through 12 that I know Las Vegas is using new media for to do education, and I think it's pretty innovative that they're doing it. Now, political ramifications aside, I'm sure some people will say, "Why are we doing this?" Well, it's not mine or here or there to judge it, but I tell you that's what the Vegas school system is doing to save money.
There's, yeah, I can go with that totally. My interest is obviously the construction side,
Right.
and there's just so much we can do on this. I mean, you can go out to site with your little cameras, and I haven't got mine to hand at the moment, but I've got a little nano, and I often go out to site and take a construction video that is pertaining to a bit of CPD. How do you put this DPC in, or how do you put this wall plate in, or how do you cast concrete correctly? You take a 10-second video, and that's it. There's your CPD.
Right.
You put it up onto YouTube or the others, and it's there for everybody to see. And the hits I'm getting on my site are not like yours, but I'm getting 200, 300, 500 hits just for 20 seconds of video on how to do a wall plate properly, or how to cast a brick correctly, or even a carpenter, using a bit of timber. How do you cut it properly? This is the phenomenon of the video age.
And you may find that some of those people that are coming to view that might be from a country that doesn't have resources to train them. You might be training the whole world, and not just people here that the United States is trying to cover CPD time.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
My biggest content, my biggest content is for the States. That's by far the biggest viewers on my site. But I get Japan, Korea, Australia, most of the English-speaking world, Europe, and of course the UK and Ireland, and France even is quite high for a while.
So, what is the name of the show, and where can folks find it at?
Okay, thanks for that. It's the Construction CPD weblog, which is construction, which is spelled KONSTRUKSHON .com.
Yeah,
that'll take you to the weblog.
Yeah, make sure you send me an email. I think I may have your information already, but send me an email with the domain name. So when I get to put together the show notes from this, we'll definitely have your site linked up there. I think.
Thanks very much.
I think what we're going to see, and you look at colleges today, and out in California, the state just raised tuition prices to astronomical levels. They put a huge increase on tuition, and we're starting to see schools work on accreditation now to deliver lectures and content online through maybe like iTunes U, where the universities are putting up content and students can get lectures instead of going to the lecture hall. They can watch a video. But I would think at some point, and I don't think it's too far in the future with the economic situation that's going on in the United States and the way many parents, college, investment funds have probably took a major hit. That there's going to be a lot of parents that are going to be looking at alternatives, alternative ways to get their kids educated. And I've read a lot of stuff saying that generally because most college students do the first. Hey, Mom, you're going to have to turn your audio down on the video. I've read a lot of stuff saying that. Okay, there you go. I think what you're going to see is kids that are looking to do the first 2 years of college in a community college before going on to university may actually do their entire first 2 years in in an undergraduate program online before they ever step foot in a major university to kind of get rid of all that low level stuff that every college student has to take and essentially saving parents multiple thousands of dollars on tuition and getting their kids educated that way. And I think the Mom, you're going to have to turn the audio down to the video. I think you're going to have the universities running scared that this is going to become a new way to educate students. Now, what do you think about that possibility?
Absolutely, I'm there 100%. The number of people who both at the bottom end of the stream who are just coming into their university career may well want to spend some of their time getting their self up to speed to university levels by attending these online courses. MIT, your famous university, has got several of its lectures already up online that you can go and watch, and they're superb. Particularly the content for computer programming. There's a couple of guys up there who've put their lectures up, and they're not short lectures; they're an hour or so long. And I watch these and learn an enormous amount. But the interest for me is people of my age. So I'm 57. So the chances of me going back to university are almost slim now. I just don't particularly want to go there, but I still want to continue learning. So this video age is now allowing me to pick subjects I particularly want to learn about, like computer programming, like video, and then just pick it up as I want to,
right,
rather than a scheduled timescale that I just can't do because of my social life.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, there's just and I think with the unemployment rates the way they are here in the United States right now, what a great opportunity for people to go back and get re-educated for a new trade. Yeah, it's just
huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the architecture industry, both here in the UK and in the States, has been decimated by the last year's events. And I know several guys who are thinking, well, what do I do? And my answer is retrain, add courses to your CV. And they say, well, I can't afford it. Well, you can afford it by just going online and looking for stuff, and picking up on stuff that you should have looked at years ago.
Right.
And the video age on the internet allows you to do it. So it's great. Absolutely. Todd, I have to go.
Okay.
I have a children's party to go to, which I'm going to rush for now. But I wanted to be part of your 24 hours. Many thanks for allowing that.
Hey, thanks for coming out. I appreciate it, and have fun at the party.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Toodaloo.
And Mom, you figured out how to get up. She's away from everyone's seeing my kitchen. Well, you got your cat with you. Is he you're trying to make the cat famous now? Is that the plan here? Can you hear me? I don't think you can hear me, can you? Oh, I can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know how to turn my volume up to hear you, Todd.
Well, you basically what you have to do is you need to turn off the video. You need to just shut down Ustream completely. Then you can turn your video up. Because that's what was happening earlier. You had your video from the Ustream playing at the same time, and it was.
Okay, I think I turned my.
Hey, we can hear you good.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I thought I turned it off, but I also turned my volume down, so let's see if I can
Turn
turn
yourself
my
back
volume
up.
up here. You,
Up.
is that bad?
Testing. No, you need to turn it down. Unless you have
Okay.
you don't have the. Did you close the browser?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so if you can
Sorry.
hear me, that's about right
Oh,
there.
wait. Okay, wait just a second now.
That's probably what's going on.
I'll close this one. I think. It wants to close everything. There.
Oh, there you go. So, I think that if you can hear me, don't turn the volume up any higher.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning. I have Earl Grey here with me.
Yeah.
He doesn't know quite what to think about being here on Skype so early in the morning. So he's kind of got that deer in the headlight look.
He's like
was-
his ears are twitching. He's like, "What is this?"
I'm hoping he'll warm up here to this, trying to get him up here so we have a good see. He's a pretty good-sized kitty. He is the kitty from the Cherry Cast, which had, he got stuck in the wall.
Probably most of the people don't know that story. You may have to tell that story. It's a funny
Yeah,
one.
you might have to.
He's the cat that's got 7 lives.
Anyway, he's... I'll try and get a full view of him so you can see what a big kitty he's turned out to be.
Hey, and let me. I need to recycle some audio stuff. So give me just a second and let me do that.
Sure.
And because otherwise we're going to start choking systems here. And I see my audio recorder is running a little bit behind, so I don't want to get that thing jacked up.
Great.